Hi, welcome to FBC. My name is Alison Whelan and this is Courtney Blackman.
We're excited to welcome Marigay McKee. She's the Fashion and Beauty Director of Harrods, and she's going to be interviewed by Dolly Jones, who's the FBC board member and also the editor of Vogue.com.
Obviously, we all know who you are, and you work for one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, fashion stores in the world. And I just want to begin by asking you how you made that happen.
Well, I don't know about how I made it happen, but I certainly never set out as a kid to become fashion director at Harrods, although I have to say there has sort of been a love story with Harrods all my life, and I can remember going with my mother and my grandmother when I was a child and falling in love with the place. But no, my parents had definitely wanted me to be a lawyer, and I was definitely destined to either do something like law or something quite serious. I don't think they really ever expected me to end up working in a shop, actually.
As well as working, obviously, with huge international brands all the time, you're a major supporter of young British talent. You're on the BFC Vogue Fashion Fund committee, and obviously, I talked earlier about Harold Tillman bringing you on board to use that influence. How do you think it's going, the sort of fight for support of young British talent?
I mean, I think London has got such enormous potential in terms of London Fashion Week. I really believe that we've only just touched the surface. I think the return of Burberry showing in London, and Matthew Williamson and other such brands, and I don't want to say too much today, but hopefully lots more coming back our way, I think is terribly important, because sometimes we are sort of sandwiched in the mammoth New York Fashion Week and then Milan Fashion Week, which is such a commercial enterprise and is such a big thing for lots of brands, for lots of companies. But reality is, Britain has always had probably the lion's share of talent and creativity and energy and dynamism, and Central St Martin's and London College of Fashion are sort of two iconic pillars of talent that we have in our country. Unfortunately, one of the things that we don't have in this country that is much more well developed in places like France or Italy is more budget, more opportunity for young designers to really make it in the UK. So, you know, if you look at the Institut de la Mode in Paris and you look at the Camera della Moda in Milan, you know, all of those young designers, they've got grants, they've got budgets, they've got opportunities to go into work for a lot of the brands. And I think that, you know, in the UK, there's still a lot more to be done. You know, I look at websites, and I shan't mention some of them, but, you know, development agency websites or agencies that are linked to our government, and, you know, fashion doesn't really appear as a career.
You're one of the most famously well-groomed women in the front row every season. How important is that to you personally? And also, is it different? Do you think women dress and look after themselves differently in London than compared to elsewhere in the world?
This is a really funny question, okay? Because when I lived in New York, I was the least well-groomed in the office, okay? The least well-groomed. I didn't have a manicure, I did my own nails. You do your own nails, you know, it's like, oh my God. I didn't have blow dries, and it's funny now, you know, when you live in New York for a few years and you're in the beauty industry, I soon learned that I was like way behind everybody else. Of course, by London standards, where it's cooler to be a bit more eclectic and not be so, I don't know, stiff or whatever it's called, I suppose I'm quite well groomed. But, you know, you guys don't see me at weekends, so I do have a ponytail and flat shoes and sometimes no makeup when I'm walking around Ealing Common with my dogs at the weekend, I promise you.
When you travel the world and see all these different things, what are your secret ingredients for buying? What makes a good collection? What are you looking for?
For us, I think always wow factor, always exclusivity to a certain extent, though not necessarily the brand per se, and a point of difference. I think having a point of difference is very important, but I think in the last 2 years, I think it's changed even a little bit more, and the word relevance is very important. I think having a buy that reflects relevance, that reflects who's the customer today, what does the customer mean, what's the customer about. I think relevance is really, really important.
I just want to touch for a second on the shows we've just seen. Obviously, you've just come back from the autumn-winter collections. What would you say are the big trends for next season, or what are the pieces that you've really got your eye on, or that we should have our eye on?
Empowered women, definitely. Women as warriors, definitely. In terms of tangible products, I think we might all be wearing blazers again. I think the blazer is making a really big return. I was pleased to see, actually, I used to be a real trouser suit for years, and then for the last 5 or 6 years, all I've worn is dresses. And I was quite pleased to see the return of the sort of, you know, trouser suit coming back for women. But I think still it is very much about feminine dressing. It is very much about glamorous dressing. It is very much about, you know, the silhouette. I think the silhouette has been very important now for the last 2 seasons. I think the emphasis on shoulders, on waists, on the type of fabrications. You know, at the moment, nudes and underwear as outerwear is a big trend. I think certainly for autumn winter, I think probably a great investment would be a great coat. There were so many coats on the runway.
And what did you think of that meeting?
I thought it was phenomenal.
Hi, I'm James Watson. I'm the menswear development manager for Liberty of London.
And what did you think of the talk with Marigay?
I thought she was fantastic, very inspiring, very knowledgeable. You know, she lives it, she breathes it, and she was incredible.